Today we're going to teach you the basics of passing. In other words, if you don't really know how to make a good pass in football, or you simply just want to refresh the basics, which I guess you do because you clicked this video, this is a great place to start if you one day want to become a true passing master. Now, I think we all want to execute those crazy long crossfield ping passes or those wicked trivela outside of the foot passes, those that look really spectacular, but that's gonna have to wait a little bit because to make sure that you have the foundation right, we should start with the basics of passing, and that is the short pass, which also happens to be one of the most important aspects in modern football. You pass, you move, and you pass, and you move. And often, those are short passes. And basically, if you have a good first touch and a good short pass to your game, you're already gonna be a pretty good player right there. But what is a good short pass? Well, of course, it's a pass that goes towards the intended target at a decent speed, but also stays relatively flat on the ground, meaning that you make it as easy as possible for your teammate to control the pass. But of course, making such a pass requires the right technique. And if you don't quite have that unlocked yet, well, I'm gonna try and teach you. And the first thing you should focus on is maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but it's actually your standing foot. And I know it sounds a bit silly, but your standing foot is important because it kind of helps you decide which direction you want to make the pass in. So as you plant your standing foot, you should basically point it in the direction you want to make the pass. If I want to pass to you guys in the camera, I should be pointing towards the camera. If I want to pass it over there, I should be pointing right over there, okay? So as I plant my standing foot, I want to put it down relatively close to the ball, maybe a little behind the center of the ball, and slightly closer for me than a foot length away from it. And also when I plant it, I make sure to bend down in my knee on my standing foot to just give me that little bit of spring effect and slightly better balance. Then once that is sorted, of course you want to make the pass. Here you want to make sure that you strike it with that flat instep part on your shooting foot. Not this area, not the area on the heel, but that big, flat, slightly firm part on your instep. And to make sure that you do that, get that really good flat connection on the ball, you should try and open up your hip and your knee. Now it's closed. You want to open it up in like a 90-degree angle, like that. So you can see I come in, plant my foot down in the knee, and then I open up like that to make the pass and hit that big part of the instep. So a little like this, yeah? And then you also want to focus on where you hit the ball, where it's important that you try and hit it around the center of the ball, height-wise, because if you hit it too high on the ball, you're basically gonna kick it down in the ground and it's gonna make this really weird, wobbly, bouncy trajectory that's not only a little bit slower, but it's also quite tricky for your teammate to control effectively and just move on with the game. Alternatively, you can also hit it too low, in which case you're just gonna lift it, it's gonna go high. So again, instead of controlling it with their foot, your teammates might have to control it with the thigh or their chest. And again, that's just a little bit more difficult. So what you really want to focus on is hitting it around the center of the ball here. And it might be something you have to focus on a lot in the beginning and you might fail at, but as you train it more and more, it's simply gonna become more natural, especially because you'll probably also learn on having the right placement of your standing foot. See, if you place it too close to the ball, you might come a little bit over the ball, meaning that you're gonna hit it on the top, right? And it's gonna start to micro bounce. If you come too far away from it, you have to stretch to hit the ball, in which case you might lean too far back, and then what happens? Well, the pass is gonna go right up there somewhere. That's not great either. So focus on the right distance with your standing foot to the ball so you can get that, right? Then another thing, as you might have seen, is the follow through, where if you want to get that really sharp, hard, direct, short pass, you want to get a pretty snappy follow through that stops relatively quickly after you hit the ball. So don't let your follow through go all the way across your body like that. Instead, think of it as if you have a rubber band on your foot that basically pulls your foot back under you as soon as you've struck it. So a little bit like this, right? See, it comes right back. There are tons of other different, standing foot placements and strike zones and follow-throughs for other types of passes. But if you want to learn the basics, this type of short pass is what you want to do. Right. But here's the thing. You might have the right technique to make a good short pass. But another important aspect is to actually understand what a good short pass is in different situations. And one thing you need to be aware of is how to pass to the right foot. And when I say passing to the right foot, I'm thinking of which situation would make it easier for your teammate to progress the game depending on how they're angled. So if I have a teammate that's positioned like this and I'm attacking that way, you want to make the pass to the right foot, because that means that they can basically just open up the body, make a directional first touch and go that way. It's pretty easy. If I'm positioned like this and the ball comes in to my left foot, see, either I have to make like a really nice Cruyff turn, which is a bit risky, I don't know what's behind me, or I will have to control the ball, take a couple of touches, turn around, and it just takes a little bit more time. So if you can, think about how can I pass into the right foot to progress the game easier. Similarly, if I'm still attacking that way, I have a defender in my back, you want to make sure to pass to the foot that's furthest away from the defender. So if the defender's here, of course, you pass to my left foot. If the defender's over here, you pass to my right foot, right? Maybe not like that, but you get the point, right? It's about making it as easy as possible to progress the game. So think about which foot you pass to. But there are actually more things to consider when making a good short pass. And I know it's a lot, but just try to take it in and then train it. The other thing here is that you need to find out if you should pass straight at the player or in front of them. See, if you have a player that is stationary or running towards you, right, you can make a pass straight at them because, you know, then they get the ball, they can do what they want with it. But if your player is running forward, you should make a pass ahead of them. If I'm running that way, or let's say that way, if you make the pass right at me, well, in a second when the ball gets to me, I'm gonna be up here. In 2 seconds, I'm up here, and then I will have to stop and go back to get the ball. That's not progressing the game easily. So instead, if I'm running that way, you need to try and time and angle the ball right, so basically your teammate can run right into it, take a touch, and move on with the game. And that is something that even for people who have played for 10 years can be a little bit tricky at times. It might also be that your teammate is stationary, but you can see that there's empty space in front of them that you want them to run into. What you can do here is to show them with your hand and tell them, run, run, and then pass the ball into space for them to run into. So it's about, again, finding out the situation. Are they stationary? Right at them. Are they running? Running? Are they running, or do you want them to run? In front of them. Keep it in mind. And once you get good at that, you can also consider the speed of your pass. Because here again, you can do a couple of different things. If you're attacking or you just want to progress the game, you want to penetrate, you want to create chances, you can often go with benefit for a slightly harder, more direct pass. Often if you need the ball to go past the defender or there's not too much space around your teammate, you need to get the ball right to them, right? Then it's better with like a slightly hard control pass. But if you're going for safety, you're laying the ball off, you just want to make sure you hit the target, keep the ball at all costs. You can make a slightly slower pass because it's easier to be precise, and it's also easier for your teammates to control. So two different aspects, yeah? You can also no look, and then if you're a baller. But I know that this can be a lot because you need to get the technique right. That takes time. You also need to understand how and when to make the good short pass. And it can all be a bit much. So how do you practice it? How do you get good at it? Well, it's not just snapping your fingers. That would have been nice. But there are a couple of things you can do. And the first thing is focusing on your technique. So go out, find a wall, get a teammate, and go out there, make passes. You know, make a pass, get it back, control it, make another pass, and all that stuff until you basically make sure that the technique is just wired into your brain. The other thing you can do is to put up match-like training situations. Basically making sure that you set up cone drills where you dribble around, you move, you maybe make turns, and you put yourself a little bit under pressure before you then have to make a pass and hit the target or put it in front of the target, right? Make it a little bit match-like. Put pressure on yourself. Imagine that you don't have all the time and the space in the world, because once you then go into a match, it will just be a little bit easier to not panic when players are just swarming at you because you have the ball. And finally, you want to train your weak foot. Remember, guys and girls, to train your weak foot. This is all trusty, this here is all rusty. I have not trained my weak foot enough in my life, and it's a mistake. Because if you have a good weak foot, you can pass with both feet. It makes you a super reliable possession output, where teammates can just trust that they can give you the ball, and you can just go both ways and pass the ball. And not lose it, not screw it up, right? So remember that weak foot. And then my final tip is probably to just take it slow. Respect the process. Becoming a good passer takes years and years and years, and so much practice. So do it slow and do it right. Don't just think, oh, I made a nice pass, good. I'm gonna make it 10 times more difficult. Do it slow and over and over and over again. And then you can start making slightly more difficult passes. And I know I've talked a lot and I've given you a lot of input here, so I'm gonna stop it at that, the basics of passing. And it's something I really think you should start thinking about. Go out and train in order to at least become not necessarily a pass master from day one, it's not gonna happen, but you'll become gradually better and better at passing, more confident basically. Do you have any other tips in terms of becoming a better short passer? Well, leave them in the comment section right down below. Remember that if you want new football boots, maybe this Skechers SKX that I have on my feet, which is actually seriously comfortable and very nice on the ball. You can buy it in the link to Unisport right over there, or watch the review if you want, right down there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here with the notifications on. And also, if you want to learn some more skills, click the playlist right down there. With those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio, my friends.